Good evening and welcome to this evening's talk, the topic Vegetarian Vibes, and also we are honouring the National Vegetarian Week. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Jagruti Patel and I've been with the Brahma Kumaris practicing meditation since the age of 7, which is a very long time ago. And by practicing meditation, I would say that I've learned a lot of values in my life and grown spiritually, mentally, physically, but also learning the art of living, the art of doing, the art of thinking. So I'm very grateful that through this meditation, I've actually grown very gracefully and very spiritually. And obviously, we do actually come across many hurdles, but through meditation, with the values and the qualities of one's own self, it actually helps us to take steps forward in our life with great courage and determination. So without further ado, I'd like to share my experience about cooking and food and meditation. I'm actually a teacher of positive thinking and a great believer that before we cook, we have to actually set our mind. Just like when we are preparing to cook anything or bake anything, we need to make sure we know the method, we have the right ingredients, and we're using the right equipment. And so for me, it's been setting my mind, having the right ingredients for my mind. And that for me is positive thoughts, positive vibration, and just the inner feeling of positivity. And the reason I share this is because, actual fact, I didn't know much about cooking. I liked cooking, but I knew basic cooking. So that would be your chapati and vegetables and dal and soup, but that was it. But over the years, I've learned more and more about cooking. And here we tend to cook for large numbers as opposed to smaller numbers. And over the last 4 or 5 years, I've learned more about cooking vegan dishes. And so this has come, obviously we have the great comfort of YouTube and Google, but also it's having the mindset of my mind that I was determined to learn, try and learn from mistakes. And I remember that the first time I had made bread rolls, which must have been about 15, 18 years ago, they turned out like door stoppers and I was quite upset. And I was thinking, I never want to make this again. And somebody asked me, why are you upset? And I said, well, I've wasted flour, the ingredients, water, electricity, the oven, just everything I had wasted. But I also learned that no, you must never give up in life. And so I practiced again and again and again. And I used to check for myself, what did I do wrong? Which method did I do wrong? Which ingredients did I use wrong? And so learning and practicing, now when I make bread rolls, they're very soft. And I'm seeing, yes, practice makes perfection, but it was actually the determination inside. And thinking that, yes, I can do it and I will do it. So it's really important that when we are learning to cook or when we are cooking, we have actually set our mind, we've set our heart. And I always believe if my heart is not in something, then whatever I do, I won't experience success. It can be anything. And so the great determination that, yes, I can do it, I will do it. I may not be successful the first time, but definitely with determination, I can do it and I will succeed. And so by practicing meditation, and one of the ingredients actually to prepare myself whenever I'm cooking or baking is patience, because I like things on time, I work with time, and I like to be before time. However, when it comes to cooking, You need great patience. Sometimes the recipe may suggest just stirring for 10 minutes, but what I have seen over the years, you may need to give it that extra 2, 3, 4 minutes. And so by giving time, by having patience, your recipe then comes out very well. The dish comes out very well. But also, together with the ingredients that you can see around me, we also need the ingredients of our inner qualities. So whatever I'm baking or doing, put in that love in, put in the happiness in, the power in, the good wishes in, because I believe whatever or whichever way I cook, and then whoever eats that food, they have that effect on their mind. So there's a saying, as is the food, so is the mind. As is the food, so is our speech. As is the food, so is our actions. And as are our actions, so is our character. And so if I'm making or cooking quickly, and I'm very agitated or I'm angry, then I could make mistakes. Instead of putting sugar, I may end up putting salt. And then those vibes go into my cooking. And then that is what I'm giving to others. So vibrations is a very important part of cooking, part of the method, the process, the cooking, the baking, the presentation, and even eating. And eating is a big factor as well, because how am I eating my food? And am I in a rush? Am I just eating for the sake of it? Am I not realizing what I'm eating? So even for eating, I need patience. And so loving myself, I can love anything I do. Respecting myself, I can respect anything I do, anything I make. There's a saying that charity begins at home, which is so true. When I actually experience myself to be a happy being or a peaceful being, I'm able to generate those vibrations, those fragrances to other people. And so when I like something, or I want it to be, if I want to be treated with respect, I need to learn the art of giving respect. If I want someone to love me and respect me, I need to also learn the art of loving and respect. If I want others to feed me in a respectful way, then I need to learn to feed myself. So the first food I need to feed myself is of good wishes, good thoughts, good vibrations, which is known as the food for thoughts. So we do everything today in the world to feed our body. But how much do we do to actually feed our mind? What are the ingredients to feed our mind? Well, they are good wishes. Whatever you give out is what you receive back in. So having good wishes, having good thoughts. I was listening to something last week and it was very nice. When I'm actually thinking in a negative way for somebody, then even if that person isn't negative, it's like I've painted the picture of negativity around them. Why? Because I've fed myself with negativity. If I share something in a negative way, I need to check myself. Am I sharing with feelings, hurt and pain, or am I sharing just for information? So whatever I'm feeding myself, automatically it bounces back and I feed others like that. And yes, the reality of life is we do experience pain and sorrow, but we need to learn the art. And when I said in the beginning, the art of living, even practicing meditation for all these years, I would say I've actually learned, or I'm still learning, the art of living for me, which is bouncing back, bouncing out of negativity and bouncing into positivity. bouncing out of what happened 1 second ago and bouncing into an element or into a new chapter of goodness in positivity. You look at when you're driving, you look at when you're in a train, you're always looking ahead. You're never reversing, or you're never driving or walking backwards. You may walk backwards for exercise sake, but you wouldn't actually in reality walk like that. And so all of these are the art of living. And the art of living automatically enables me to then have the art or learn the art of doing. And in this case, the art of cooking. And so the art of living actually brings in many ways of us, for me, to lead my life, to live my life. If I'm doing something which makes me feel good, then automatically I feel good and I generate goodness to others. If I think bad, means I'm thinking bad for myself, I'm thinking bad for others. And as I said, even if somebody is not being negative, but if I'm thinking like that, that is what I am actually painting a picture in my mind about, or even if I'm sharing with others. So positivity and patience and being happy is very, very important. And with all these values, there's many, many more values for the self, but all of these values added up make a good ingredients. And all of these are essential ingredients. They're very good ingredients. They're important ingredients for us to live the art, or to know the art of living, to understand the art of living. And so cooking is one of the things of many things that we all do throughout the day. Eating is also something we do throughout the day. But before we do two of these things, whether it's cooking or whether we're eating, the actual art of cleanliness is important. And so external cleanliness we all like, whether it's at home or in our office or in our car, or even just personal hygiene. But the cleanliness comes within. Being clean in my mind, in my words, and in my heart, and in my character. Many times people ask, when I do the positive thinking course, what does it mean to have the cleanliness of the mind? What does it mean to have the cleanliness of the heart? Everybody knows the external cleanliness. So the cleanliness of the mind and heart are connected. And when my mind is clean, then automatically I will feel light. And in my heart, when I have goodness, only goodness, then my heart won't feel broken. Sometimes people say, my heart is broken. How do you know it's broken? Well, if I'm honest, my heart has been broken because I've accepted pain. Why? Because pain is free. We don't have to buy it. And so I've taken it on. I've let it penetrate in my heart. And so my heart feels heavy. These days, people do everything to actually maintain their weight to feel light, whether it's exercising or aerobics or walking. But the real lightness is the lightness of the mind and the lightness of the heart. And that means putting a full stop to the past and looking forward to the future, but living in the happiness of the present moment. And I'm sharing from experience, even what happened a year ago or 20 years ago. If I remember that even for 1 minute or 1 second, then it's like there's somewhere along the line I'm creating dirt. Imagine if at home you're sweeping every day, but you're not actually picking the rubbish up and putting it in the bin. Although the floor is clean, the rubbish is somewhere on that floor. It's like a saying, when something happens in your life, you can do one of three things. You can either deal with it, or number two, you can sit in the corner and cry about it, Or number 3, you can sweep it under the carpet. So you're not literally sweeping it under the carpet, but you're actually turning a blind eye. And in actual fact, sitting in the corner and sweeping it, not dealing with it, is very unhygienic for the mind and for the heart. And this took me years of practice to basically understand it, but to practice it. And so now for myself, if I'm facing a situation, then I would say I've now, through meditation, learned the art of cleanliness. So I deal with it. And if I need to share something or say something, then to do it at that moment, not even wait maybe 1-2 days. And even if I do, I need to make sure I snap out of it. Because when you don't do it, it's like a body in the pain. If you have pain in the body, if you don't give it immediate attention, it can grow and grow and grow. This I had experienced over a year ago. I had some pain and I must have had it for 2-3 weeks, but I never told anybody. And in the end, I ended up going into hospital. So that was a big lesson for me, that something where I'm experiencing pain, whether it's physically or mentally, I need to deal with it straight away. I need to give it immediate attention. And so cleanliness of the mind, cleanliness of the heart. And I also feel another ingredient for this, to have cleanliness of the mind and heart, is not to have reaction. Just because somebody shouts at me, just because somebody is disrespectful to me, does not mean I need to be disrespectful to them. Sometimes we feel, or I have felt in the past, I'm going to tell them as it is. And the third aspect is vibrations. I'm seeing this more and more now. I pay attention to myself, my activity, my thoughts, my words, my actions, that nobody should have waste thoughts about me, and I shouldn't have waste thoughts about others. But the reality is it does happen. It may be a small percentage, but it does happen. Today you see me wearing white. And if on my clothes you see any black mark or stain, then that is what is visible. Not the whole white, the 90% of white, but the 10% of mark I may have, that is what is visible. And so any aspect of negativity, uncleanliness, or any bad feelings, that is what is being shared out, given out to others. So I may not have to say anything, but those are the vibrations that are reaching others. So personal hygiene of the mind, my words, and my heart. And you know, they say it's not what you say, it's how you say. And I truly believe in this. If I need to say something, let me say it with great respect, sweetness, and patience. Yes, things do hurt me, things do annoy me, but the art of living is learning how to snap out of it. And, you know, in this last year that we've all been facing this pandemic, we all know, wear a mask, wash your hands, maintain social distance, and we know all the government guidelines. But the internal personal hygiene is wearing the mask of not saying what is not necessary. And washing your hands means actually not washing or not dealing with the situation, but learning the art of dealing with it. And then maintaining your distance from negativity. Okay, if somebody is reacting, it could be my own sister, my own brother, somebody I live with or work with. I do actually work outside as well, and it's very hard now outside. People are struggling mentally, physically, financially. But as we say, we are a good team at work, and we feel each of us are family members. So although the work element is very stressful, at least for the time we are together as colleagues, we are friends. Let's enjoy together with good feelings, good sharings and having a good laugh. And so it's important to also make sure you're not the whole time just thinking, I can't do this, I can do this, it shouldn't be like this. But also a step to cleanliness is going for walks, is resting the body, is listening to good music, and even eating good and healthy food. So the personal hygiene of my mind, the personal hygiene of my heart, the personal hygiene of my good feelings, good vibrations, good words, and plus the personal hygiene of my own body and the room I stay in, the house I stay in. All of these things, this personal hygiene has a deep, deep impact on me, but also on my friends and my family and the people I interact with every day. So good feelings, I love perfume, but the real perfume is the good feelings I generate and share with others, the good words I share and generate with others. And the basis for all of this is good food. I believe the food for the mind is one element, but also eating healthy, eating wisely. They say too much of anything in life is not good. And my mother used to always say, too much sitting around, too much watching TV, too much sleeping, too much eating is not good for you. And nowadays, everybody is too much into technology, whether it's gadgets or iPhone or iPad or mobile, even that in reality is not good for us. So in life, there's a limit to everything. And when we stay within our limit and within our boundaries, we feel lighter and we feel happier. So coming on to the actual food element, eating healthily, eating wisely, eating sensibly. And compared to 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, nowadays I feel people have a lot more awareness about food, even for me, because although I'm not vegan, I do cook vegan dishes for my friends and family, and it's been a good process for me. Instead of finding it a chore, I find it great pleasure, and the result has been they enjoy the dish. It may not be 100% perfect, but the 98% it is, they enjoy it. Why? Because I've studied the recipe, I've studied the method, I've created my own ingredients, adding and deleting, but also more so putting my heart in it. So the heart is actually the ingredient to any success of cooking. And so today we look at, well, what should I be eating for breakfast? What should I be eating for lunch? What should I be eating for dinner? What I'm about to share with you now is my own experience and how I've had to trial and error, and I've experimented in different ways. So currently, I'm having green juice in the morning, about 6:15. And there's so many recipes for green juices, but because I'm anemic, so I make sure I add a little spinach, celery, asparagus, and lemon, and sometimes ginger. And these days, because since the last 1 year, I've been added half a green chili. I love green chili. And green chili is good for your system. And so because I am going outside, I am using public transport, I feel together with your vitamin C's and D's, a bit of green chili is good for me. And so that's the first thing I have. And even when I've made the juice, I don't just drink it. I actually look at that glass and I send out good vibrations, good thoughts for 1 minute, or maybe less than 1 minute. And the second thing is to sit down peacefully and drink that juice. And because when you rush, it's not good for you. You can get indigestion, then you feel something stuck in your throat or something. So this is my method. So I'm actually sharing with you what I do and how I drink it. And it's been a real, how can I say, it's been very good for me, because for me to sit down quietly I don't do that very often, but it's been a good remedy for me. And then for breakfast, usually I have cereal, blueberry, fruit, and milk. Once a week, I will treat myself to toast or cheese on toast. There's nothing wrong with bread. You can have it every day. But I choose to have bread once a week. So I stick to whole grain cereals and fruits, which are, any fruit you juice, they say is not good for you. However, what's good or not good, I just eat the fruit whole or cut it. So whether it's a pear, a banana, an apple, blueberry, everybody likes different fruits. So you can mix and match as you like. And then at lunchtime, well, it can be chapati and vegetables and dal, or you can have salads. At the moment, I'm doing salads with avocado, but also sometimes I put tofu, which is my protein. And then in the evening, I tend to have light. So whether it's soup or just fruit, whilst the weather is good. Sometimes I will skip lunch. Like yesterday, I didn't have any lunch, so then I had dinner. And I've seen for me, physically, not eating 3 times a day has been good. But even if you do eat 3 times a day, and there are days when I do eat 3 times a day, then to eat in small proportion. It's been good for me physically, but mentally I feel lighter as well. And the last meal of the day, the earlier you eat it, it's good for you. Because if you have a heavy meal late evening, then you sleep late, you may get up late, and then it's like your whole system. You have to juggle and balance your whole system. So what works for me is eating early, 6, 6:30, 7. And if there are days I do need to eat late, then I make sure I don't eat heavy. So it's finding your own method, juggling with your own body, because only you know your body better than anybody else. And so juggling and working out your own timetable. And temptation used to be a big thing for me. I used to think, yes, I'll have that, that, and that. But now nothing seems to tempt me like that. Just simple food, but tasty food. And actually simple cooking is actually more tastier. So last week I had made spinach and mint soup, and I finely chopped courgettes, carrots, and green beans, and it was very nice, very simple. And then if the weather's colder, you can add some barley, so you get your nourishment, your protein. Bearing in mind, barley is wheat, so you can mix and match. So when I go to the supermarkets, I pick up a can of soup, I look at their ingredients, and half of that stuff I would never use in homemade soup. So for me, homemade cooking is really the best. And really from scratch, making everything is good. I know time is a factor, but these days, and from what I've understood from my friends and family, especially in the last year, people have had the opportunity to experiment with different types of baking and food, which has been good for everyone. And so this is just giving you a flavor of my own timetable and my own diet, but that's not to say I don't treat myself. I definitely do treat myself. What I'd like to do now is just share with you some of the options which you may or may not be aware of. Around me, you can see a table with fruit and vegetables and milk. I'll start with the milk. So this is our normal full fat milk. We all know you can buy full fat milk, semi-skimmed milk, skimmed milk, goat milk. There's so many types of milks now that you can buy. But for those of you that are vegan, there are good substitutes. So you've got almond milk, then you've got oat milk, and almond milk I had learned how to make in South Africa. You can even, obviously this is only in necessary times, but you can soak some almonds, you can peel it, and then you can grind it with water, and that is actually almond milk. And sometimes in my soups or cooking, I add coconut milk. It just gives a nice color, but a nice texture to the sauce or to the soup or even to the pasta sauce, whatever we're making. So for milk, and for those of you who are vegan, there's many substitutes, okay? So pasta, you can buy normal pasta, wholemeal pasta, or multigrain pasta. Multigrain pasta is in fact wheat-free and gluten-free. Today I have here with me wholemeal pasta, so whole wheat pasta, which I find is very healthy and it's good for your digestive system. Then we come on to butter, so the famous Anchor butter, which I know many of us like, and you can buy them in tubs and spreads, as easy spreads. So Anchor butter, but this is not vegan. For those of you who are vegan, do not fear. We have here dairy-free pure olive oil spread. You can also, there's about 3 different types I saw. So there's many options of vegan butter, vegan margarine. Same with cheese, normal cheese, mature cheddar cheese, but you can also get vegan cheese, especially in your health food stores, okay? So in terms of the green chilies, I told you they're one of my favorite things I like to eat. Green chili, use it in cooking, or you can just cut it on the side, soak it in water, and if you drink that water, so soak it overnight, and if you drink the water next morning, it's really good, especially if you are feeling you're getting a start of a cold or you've got a sore throat, if you can take chili. If you can't take chili, I don't advise you to do this, but green chilies are very good for you, okay? So the different types of fruit, you can see pear, banana. Most days, this is what I'll have. Or I do treat myself to cereal or blueberry or kiwi, whatever you like. But fruits, we have great options. And then moving on to the vegetable. So something I've learned more about in the recent times is vegetables, but also your nightshade vegetables. So these are vegetables that are actually grown in the ground, or they're known as a nightshade. For example, potatoes. So for those of you that love your Walker's crisps or crisp, but any potato is actually nightshade. But a substitute, yesterday I made jacket potato for everyone, but I also remembered my friends who don't eat potato, so I baked about 10 sweet potatoes. So sweet potato is a substitute for potato. So I didn't know that. So that was something I learned in the recent months. Aubergine is good for you, good for iron, but again, it is nightshade. Some of the vegetables people don't like because of taste. I'm not so keen on aubergine, but I would eat it. But for those of you, you know who you are, who is nightshade free, so then aubergine is definitely a vegetable that's not for you. Together with aubergine is the different peppers and tomato. So all of these vegetables are your nightshade vegetables, okay? Many people say to me, how can you cook without tomato? You know, is there a substitute for tomato? Well, I love tomatoes, but yes, what you can do if you want to bring color or taste to something is if you boil beetroot, so you really boil it, and you can either boil it in a pressure cooker or you can steam it however you like. And if you blend that, that gives good red color, but you don't need so much of it because beetroot is quite deep in color. So when I've made chickpeas, once I've experimented with beetroot, it's not like tomato, but it gives that, it gives it a nice texture and a nice taste. So is there a substitute for tomato? Yes, I would say you can boil or steam beetroot. Okay, vegetables that are good for us. So I do have moments in the month where I will steam vegetables. So I'll have my juice or fruit in the morning And then steaming vegetables is actually, even if you just do it for 2 days, it's good because it actually detoxes your system. So you can steam some broccoli or asparagus or courgette, carrots, okay? All of these are vegetables, and there's many more that you can steam, and then you can put olive oil, salt, pepper, and the great lemon. So we never cook with lemon, but lemon is always done the last of garnishing, whether you add it to any sauce or vegetables or salad. Fresh lemon is always good. And lemon never goes to waste, because if you grate lemon and then freeze it or keep it aside, it's great for using in cakes. So lemon you can never waste. The only part of the lemon you may end up throwing is the top, the 2 sides, where you just have to slightly cut. So the actual peel is just like going to the supermarket and buying a tub of mixed peel, which is actually contains orange and lemon, and that is actually the skin of oranges and lemons or lime. Okay. So another thing is cabbage. People say, well, cabbage can create a bloating sensation. Well, if you finely chop cabbage, finely chop it, only a little bit of cabbage, you can roast it at the start of your cooking. People use onions and garlic. I myself, or we here, we don't use onions and garlic. A lot of us don't like that, but we don't use that. And so substitute is cabbage. You can use this, and you can roast it in some oil with some herbs, salt, pepper, ginger, whatever you like to taste. People ask, so you don't eat onions and garlic, what's the reason? Well, in our family, we never liked onions and garlic, but I always feel that it's one of those vegetables that can really, I feel it's not good for me mentally and physically, but here at the Brahma Kumaris, we don't use garlic and onions. So substitute is actual fact cabbage. Okay, and then salad, we all know you can mix and match. You can use iceberg lettuce, like what I've got here. You can add some rocket. You can add some coriander, green chili. Add whatever you like to your salad. Avocados, tomatoes, cucumber, then you can add roasted pumpkin seeds. So you can make your meal very interesting. It doesn't have to be rich, but it needs to be rich in goodness and protein. So there's so many ingredients we can play around with. And some of the Indian vegetables, so like curry leaves, they're very good for you. A few of them in your juice or cooking is good. It's high in calcium. There's also ladyfingers, and I call this the hedgehog, also known as the karela. These are good vegetables for those who are diabetic. So again, if you cut this on the side, you soak the ladyfinger in water, you drink it the next day. Apparently it levels your sugar out, but it is very good. Both of these are very good, and you can juice this. Something I have started to juice recently is asparagus, and just a couple of strands of asparagus in the green juice is actually very, very good for you. So it's about mixing and matching. You can get ideas in books and supermarkets and Google and YouTube, but you can also make your own ingredients. So there's loads of variety for all of us that we can cook with. Pasta, you know, the real traditional pasta is only pasta in white sauce or tomato sauce. But sometimes if I just wanted to make something for me and it's just one person, I can boil some pasta. I can just garnish it with olive oil, chili olive oil or olive oil, salt, pepper, simple. If you want to make it creamy, you could heat some milk up, put some cheese, and then garnish it with that. So that's also healthy. So there's loads of ideas, lots of ways of cooking with all these ingredients. Now, carrots, for example, courgette and carrot. and celery actually. Yesterday I had made celery and courgette and carrot soup because I wanted to make sure the soup was nightshade free. So all I did, and I've really minimized, well, in soup, I don't use oil. So in water, I will boil the water. And because I was running out of time yesterday, so in a pressure cooker, I boiled water, and in there, I added some aniseed and jeera, salt, pepper, ginger, whatever I felt I wanted to add. I chopped these up. I put them all in. So I used about 2 courgettes, 6 carrots, 4 celeries, and then I pressure cooked it for 3 whistles, and then I left it aside. Then I came back to it an hour later, and I blended it, and it came out really nice and smooth. And then I added hot water, and then I didn't boil it until half an hour before it's ready to serve. So this is something I've started to do now, is I prepare the soup, but I don't boil it. I will only boil it once, and that is half an hour before it's due to be served, or 45 minutes before, depending on what I'm making or what the menu is for that day. And it really, really turns out well. And then yesterday I added some dill. So you can add French mint, parsley, dill, whatever you like. You can just mix and match. The recipe, or a recipe may say 1 herb, but that doesn't mean you can't use any other herbs. And the last thing I'd like to share is I really thoroughly enjoy baking cakes. And I have been doing now for over 20 years. And I remember the first cake I made, it came out really black. And I was like, okay, maybe that was too long in the oven, or it was too much cocoa powder, and there's loads of cracks in there. So again, as I shared in the beginning, that trial and error, I practiced, and now I learned to make a variety of cakes. And I'd like to show you some of my pictures. And in the last 2 years, I have been making vegan cake as well. So just to share that so it's actually eggless cake. I don't use any eggs. We don't cook with eggs here. So there's no eggs in these cakes. I'm happy to share both of these recipes with you. I have my little book here, which I have created over 2 years ago, and I've named it Jag's Recipe Book. So anything that went wrong, I write it in here. And then when I make it again, how I can get it right. And so this book is like, how can I say, I can't live without this book, because all my trial and error and what went good, what went bad, what went wrong, I write it in here so that practice makes perfection. So in here, I've written that about my cake as well. So with cake, I make cake with condensed milk. But now, obviously, a lot more people, a lot more of my friends and family are vegan. So I experimented and experienced the joy of the vegan cake. And yes, I practiced with many recipes, and vegan cake I needed a lot more patience with, because, it took a lot of practice. And also now I don't even follow the accurate recipe, because, for example, they say add so much oil, but I've actually halved it and it works out much better. So I'd like to just show you some of my pictures, or some of the cakes I've baked. So this was a vegan cake, which I had done 3 months ago. And decoration, well, whatever is inspirational to me, in that morning or that evening, not much planning goes. It was whatever comes into my mind during meditation, then I get ideas from that. Yeah, sometimes I go down the bakery aisle in the supermarket and I get ideas. So this is vegan cake made with Trex, say like 20% of Trex and 80% of vegan butter. This was vegan cake as well. So just to show you that it is possible to make a vegan cake looking so glamorous. And again, this was really, I was racing against time, but it came out well. So instead of covering the sides, I said, okay, let me just try and build a house, but it came out really well. And added a bit of color in my icing. And that's all fresh fruit that you see. So I tend to use only fresh fruit. I have lots of gadgets and I've been gifted with many decorations, so I just play around with all of them. And then this was a chocolate log I had done. This is not dairy-free vegan. This is cake with condensed milk, but I had melted chocolate with double cream. And with a fork, I had given that log effect. Again, this cake I was asked to make like 5 o'clock in the morning and had it ready by 7:30. So it's possible, and sometimes when you do things spontaneous, that works well. And a few years ago, I was gifted with a hamper, and I always liked the basket idea. So when I was gifted, I thought, okay, my next cake has to be the basket effect. So if you can see that, that's a basket effect. This one is not vegan, but I have made a vegan cake like this, but you can see the basket effect on the top. It's very simple. It is time consuming, but it's simple, but it just gives a nice effect. And this one was a cake for somebody who was turning 80, and they were really, really touched. And I think they were touched because not just the fact it was a cake, but just they liked baskets as well. And apparently when they used to go shopping, they used to take a basket. So it's like how everything had synchronized. And I actually many years ago had got a book made, printed just for myself. I had got it through online of all the different cakes I've experimented with and made. And some of the cakes don't have icing. I will put pineapple, fresh pineapple or tinned pineapple, and I garnish that with jelly on the top to give it a shiny effect. Or I will put some strawberry jam, which is homemade, and I will put coconut on it. And that's a type of cake I call Starbucks cake, because I actually got that idea from Starbucks once when I had gone to get a hot chocolate. So and then lemon drizzle cake, which we all know. So you make lemon icing, which is just simply lemon and icing sugar. And then the thickness depends on how much lemon you add. So there's no water in there. And then you can garnish that, as I said earlier. Either you can grate some lemon, or you can grate some orange, or you can grate both. And it just gives a nice effect. And now you can also get vegan chocolate. So if you are going to melt vegan chocolate, then to make sure that chocolate does go to room temperature before you add any milk in there, because that is your substitute for cream. With normal chocolate, you can heat up the double cream and add chocolate. But I find, I'm sure there's a way of doing it, but for me, what works is melting the vegan chocolate, just getting it to room temperature, and then adding one of the milks, whether it be an almond milk or oat milk. So there's many ideas to play around with, and you just need to experiment. So the art of living for me was also learning the art of cooking. And whenever I cook or whenever I bake and share, it gives me great happiness. Of course, sometimes I may feel tired, but then I say to myself, no. So many people were able to enjoy the cake, were able to enjoy the food or the meal. And so the main ingredients, apart from all of this, was actually the love, the good vibrations, the power, the happiness. That's what works for me. So before I start any cooking, any baking, I will make sure that I actually clean not just the surface or the area, but I clean my mind and heart. Really and truly, I've learned this art now, and I'm just seeing how naturally people come to offer help, how things finish on time. And even yesterday, we were just saying how it was a simple menu I made yesterday, but it was time consuming because I like to do each ingredient, I like to roast each ingredient. But it came out so well. And at the end of it, we all felt very light. It's like I didn't feel so tired. Maybe later on in the evening I did, but I felt very light. And so I know that is because whatever is at the beginning, whatever my mindset is the start of cooking will be the mindset at the end. It's like when you build a house. If the foundation is good, then your house will be good. If the foundation is weak, then everything else over years, over time becomes weak. And so what's really important is to organize. So if I want to bake a cake, I need to make sure I have the right ingredients. If you start baking without having all your ingredients to hand, it can become a disaster. And so the mindset before I start cooking is cleaning my mind, cleaning my heart, and being happy. And really, one of my ingredients in life is the art of smiling. Not externally or constantly smiling, but just to be happy. Just to be happy and to be light. And if something's not happened so good, then really just surrendering that thought or that situation and dealing with it in a very professional, but in a profound way where spiritually I can grow. And so through meditation, I've learned to deal with situations myself, but also to learn from them. If I don't know how to check and change, then it becomes very difficult. And it has become difficult for me. People say you've been learning to meditate from a young age, so it's been very easy, very good for you. Yes, it has been easy, it has been good, but there has been roller coaster rides as well. And so the art of living is we learn from mistakes. When I learned to drive, I passed first time. My sister passed the 5th time. And I always share this experience in the positive thinking courses. In actual fact, my sister was better than me. Why? Because she learned from my mistakes. I passed first time, but I had to learn even after passing. She learned from her mistakes and then eventually passed. So I always see in life, especially with baking and cooking, you won't get it right first time. I never got it right first time, but not to give up. And with determination and patience and love and putting your heart in it, it will be brilliant. It will be really, really good. And so 2 recipes I would like to share with all of you. And I'm choosing cake today. And then maybe later on, I can upload videos on the website of 2 or 3 of my ingredients, which I will get recordings done. But 2 ingredients I would like to share. One is vegan cake and one is non-vegan cake. Okay? So for the vegan cake, this is for an 8-inch tray. I will need 10 ounces of self-raising flour. And actually, I do know this recipe in my mind. So 10 ounces of self-raising flour, 4 ounces of margarine, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. They're not heaped spoons, they're just level spoons. 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate soda, 1 tin of condensed milk, which is your usual 397 gram. It's 397 on the can, so your normal size. And 5 tablespoons of sugar, vanilla essence, and then optional is cocoa powder, vanilla essence, grated orange, anything you like, or you can mash some strawberries or cut strawberries and put them in your mixture. And then the tin of condensed milk, half of that of room temperature water. And then you mix all of that and you will see the consistency. If you feel it's too thick, just add slightly water. It shouldn't be too runny, but it shouldn't be too thick. And the method is to fold. What I tend to do now is mix all the dry ingredients and the margarine. I will melt slightly and add all the wet ingredients in there. And then you just fold and fold and fold. And the more you fold, the more air you give it. So not too runny, but not too thick. And then in your tray, whether it be in square or round, You line it with baking paper, and the temperature for that would be 180, which I think is gas mark 45. And also in the oven, I would suggest is to put a bowl of water underneath your cake, not on the top layer, because the water can fall into the cake, because it gives moist. And so actually anything you put in the oven, if you put a bowl of water, it gives moist, whether it's bread or rolls or pizza, just gives some moist. So I put this with cake and then cook it for about, I think for a tray that, you know, an 8-inch tray, about 25-30 minutes. But I think after 15 minutes, you can open the oven and just stick a knife in, and you will just get a sense of idea. Maybe not to open the oven for the first 15-20 minutes, but each oven is different, so you need to see according to your oven. Okay, the non-vegan cake, that is, for that you need vegetable oil, and you can use oat milk and self-raising flour. The actual ingredients does say plain flour, but what's working for me, as I said, I experiment, is actually self-raising flour. So for that, you use 240 ml of milk, so whether it be in oat milk or almond milk, and 160 ml of vegetable oil. And this is where I say I've cut down. So I personally don't use 160, I use 130. But the actual recipe does say 160. Then you add a pinch of salt, 2 tablespoons or less, just less, of baking powder, teaspoon, and 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate soda, again, not heat, but leveled. Cocoa powder, again to your taste. And then 1 teaspoon of vinegar. It is better if it's cider vinegar, but you can use cider vinegar, white vinegar, or malt vinegar. And then you add 8 ounces of self-raising flour, 8 ounces of sugar. Now in this, the sugar and flour has to be the same. It seems like a lot of sugar. You can maybe reduce it by 1 ounce, but in actual fact, although it seems like a lot, the taste is not like that. Again, vanilla essence, cocoa powder is all optional. You can make this mixture, and if you really want a rich cake, you can melt vegan chocolate, cool it down to room temperature and mix it. And again, this you would need to cook. I always cook vegan cake slightly more than the dairy cake, so 180 to 90, because it all rises together, and that nicely does cook it. With the cakes I make, I personally don't like the deep pans, so I go for the more wider round trays or the wider rectangle trays. And then if I want to make a small cake, I cut it and double. I put one on top of the other, and in between I would add my filling of icing sugar or double cream, whipped cream, or vegan butter, vegan icing. So for vegan icing, I would use maybe 4 ounces of Trex and 8 ounces of vegan margarine. And then icing sugar, they say, is about 10 ounces. But again, icing sugar is very sweet. So first mix your Trex and vegan butter, or if you don't want to use Trex, because I know some people don't prefer that, you can just use vegan butter. Then to first put that in your Kenwood or your mixer, make it like a smooth paste, and then add your icing sugar slowly. And then you will see. So, and if you really want to make it smooth, you can add your oat milk or your almond milk, but please don't add milk from the fridge because then it becomes lumpy. Again, room temperature, not hot, but room temperature. If you do add it from the fridge, just leave it out for 10 minutes or so. That works for me. I do know of people that do it from the fridge, but I think it then gets lumpy very quickly. So these are a few of my recipes, and in the future, I will upload some, or we will upload some videos. There's loads and loads of ideas on YouTube and on Google, but again, mix and match with your own taste buds, and it really does work wonders. And remember, the main ingredients is putting in love, patience, happiness, and really you will see it is success. So I wish you all the very best. Happy cooking, happy vegetarian week, and thank you for this opportunity of sharing with all of you. Thank you and good evening.